G'day, Chief. Welcome to this killer episode of The Inner Chief. And what we're going to talk about today is when you've lost your mojo, when you lost your motivation at work. End of last year, we ran a series of episodes on career crossroads. Should I stay or should I go? And in January, I had two senior executives from multi-billion dollar companies, both on the executive team, both have a chat to me over a coffee, and they said, "Hey, Greg, it's all good and well. I quite liked those episodes, but the thing that was different for me was my work was good. It's a good job, pretty good people all around me. It's a good company. I earn good money. The problem is it's almost too good. I'm bored. I've been here for quite a long time. This is a different type of problem. Human beings are creatures of comfort, and we can fall into this trap over time of if we've got a great job and good people around us, of actually not pushing new boundaries. And what actually ends up happening is it starts to get into our psychology a bit, that maybe we're not doing as much as we know we probably can. And this is where these two executives found themselves. To be honest, in their own words, even though they're on the executive team of a billion-dollar plus organisation, bored was the word they used. Unmotivated, no mojo, lost energy, stagnant. This is where they're at. Moving was almost like it was going to be too much for them. So we spoke a bit about what was really going on for them. Because in all honesty, when we really got down to it, they were waiting for someone else to shunt them out of this comfort zone they were in, waiting for someone else, their boss or a peer or someone to say, "Hey, come and do this opportunity or this job over here." And that waiting was going to be an everlasting game because they'd lost that energy. There's a great quote, a great saying that says, give a busy person a job because they're the ones that'll get it done. If you're bored and unchallenged and you're stagnant, you're just not going to be attractive for someone who wants to give an opportunity and give a job. What's more, what really goes on is you start to get a bit restless. You start doing little things like always looking for maybe a tree change or a sea change, or you play a bit of politics when you don't need to. You whinge about things that really, to be honest, that's below you. You don't need to do that. But because you're not focused on something and being challenged, as a result, you've got time and energy to burn, and you just fall into some silly habits or silly things that you shouldn't do. So let's talk about what's actually going on and why maybe you've lost some motivation. First and foremost, the work you're doing is no longer making a perceivable impact in the world. You go to work every day and you just feel like you're doing things and you just can't see a result anymore. That might be one reason. The second reason is whatever you're doing has lost excitement, right? There's no rush to it. There's nothing that says if we get this done, or there's this emergency or energy around what you're doing. If there's no excitement for the job and the business is just in cruise mode, then it's going to be hard to get motivation. Because what we're really looking for here, and this is the solution to almost all motivation, is to finding flow. Now, what's flow? Flow is the intersection of a challenging task and your capability. You're being pushed, you're being stretched in a new territory. It's time bound, which means you've got to do a certain task to a certain level of capability. And there's a certain risk that if you fail, you're going to lose. Now, if you go to work every day and there's no real deadlines, the work you do doesn't really have it's no great tragedy if you're not successful. There's nothing really on the line. There's no consequence to not winning. Then you're going to slowly lose that motivation. And then what that means is if you're turning up every day and you're in this comfort zone and you're not feeling that energy or life that when you turn up to work you've got to perform, and you need to and you want to, what actually goes on, it starts costing you your reputation. People can see that. People can see you're not walking with the energy. You're not. There's that great movie, The Bourne Identity, and he said everywhere he went, Matt Damon said, I had to walk like a boxer. He had purpose. And when an executive is walking around the office or going into meetings and you can see they've got a purpose and a drive to achieve something that's meaningful and there's pressure on time, you can see there's energy and motivation to win. And they walk with purpose and they look amazing and they inspire the people around them. And if all that's missing for you, then we've got to help you find it again. That's the thing that can really, really cost you. Because in the end, it starts to eat away at your pride. And this is going to affect your track record. Right? So in the end, Chief, if you've lost your motivation and you've lost your mojo, the very first thing we need to do is get hope back into your career, into your job. And this is what it really comes down to is the reason you're willing to take on a challenging role or a big opportunity or a hard project is it gives you a little bit of hope. And the hope is a real personal thing about I can do something that's meaningful. I hope I'm capable. I can be proud of the work that I do. And then it's got this passion and energy that comes with needing to do a particular task to a certain level of capability and get a result. So what we want to do is re-inject the hope. And there's just a couple of ways you can do this. One, create a sense of urgency around a particular project at work. Dive deep. Go really, really hard on nailing a particular project that's going to deliver real value to the organisation you work for. Get out of your comfort zone. Chief, we've got a saying here at Chief Maker, great chiefs never accept the status quo. You must be in that state of mind. Never accept the status quo for you as an individual and your level of performance. Never accept the status quo for how your team is going. You've got to raise the bar and stretch it. And if you don't know how to do it, talk to your boss, ask your peers what you could do better for them, ask your people what they think the next thing to do is that's really going to grow the team and make a big difference. The last thing, Chief, is if you're sitting there and thinking, you know what? I don't know if I can do what Greg's saying. I don't know if I can find a way to get a project or something in this business because I've just been here too long. Then, Chief, it's time. It's time you made a move for the good of yourself, for the good of your family, for the good of the organisation you work for. If you can't find a way to step up, then that's all right. It's time to step out and hand over the reins to someone else. It's not the end of the world for you, not the end of the world for them, but it's time for a freshen up. Chief, if you've lost your motivation and your mojo, the last thing I want you to do, a little test for you. Go back to a time and ask yourself, when was a time that I had really awesome motivation? I had that mojo, that excitement to go to work and perform and win every day. What was going on? What were you doing? What were the people like you working for? How long you been there? What kind of projects were you doing? What was your schedule like? What were the demands on you like? How much were you growing and learning? And you'll know pretty quickly if you just write down 5 or 6 things that are different about then and where you are now, you'll know what to do. Motivation is actually, it's not that hard a science. It really isn't. We know a lot about it now. What's probably really going on is you're just a bit comfortable and we need to break out of that cycle. So I hope, Chief, you can find a way to put that mojo back in your day, the kick in your step, excitement. So when you jump out of bed in the morning, you can't wait to go to work. And when you walk in the door at the end of the day, you know what? You're proud of what you've done. Now, Chief, if you know someone out there who could probably use a little bit of a kick, a little bit of a boost, then send them this and help them find a bit of mojo again so they can be the very best version of themselves. All right, Chief, that sums it up for this week. Look forward to seeing you next week.